There's a version of you that everyone loves. The one who answers immediately. The one who drops everything. The one who says yes when your body is screaming no. And then there's the version you're becoming. The one who finally understands that being too available is just another way of disappearing. Carl Jung spent decades studying what he called the persona, the mask we wear, the role we play so well that we forget we're playing it. But here's what he discovered that changes everything. The people who love your availability don't actually love you. They love what you provide. The comfort, the convenience, the certainty that you'll always be there, like a vending machine for emotional labor. Society conditions us beautifully, doesn't it? Be kind, be helpful, be responsive. And if you're not, well, you're selfish, cold, difficult. The irony is almost poetic. We're taught that our value lives in how useful we are to others. And then we wonder why we feel so empty when we're finally alone. Jung saw this pattern repeat across thousands of patients, people who had spent their entire lives accommodating, bending, shrinking themselves into shapes that fit other people's needs. And every single one of them asked the same question eventually: who am I when I'm not performing for someone else? The answer scared them. It should scare you too. Because when you stop being available, something shifts, not just in how others see you, but in how the entire architecture of your relationships reveals itself. Here's what actually happens. You stop answering every text within 30 seconds. You decline an invitation without a 3-paragraph explanation. You let a call go to voicemail because you're choosing peace over performance. And suddenly, people get confused, frustrated. Some get angry. They'll tell you you've changed. And they're right, but what they really mean is, you've stopped playing the role that made their life easier. You've stopped being the supporting character in their story. And now they don't know what to do with you. Jung called this projection. People don't see you as you are. They see you as what they need you to be. The good friend. The reliable one. The person who absorbs their chaos without complaint. And the moment you step outside that projection, they experience it as betrayal, not because you've done anything wrong, but because you've stopped doing what they've come to expect. The real version, as with most things, is bigger and stranger and sadder. When you become unavailable, you don't just learn who respects your boundaries. You learn who never saw you as a person to begin with. Some people will disappear immediately. The ones who only showed up when they needed something. Others will test you, pushing against your new boundaries like children testing a fence, seeing if you'll cave. And a very small number will surprise you. They'll lean in closer. Not because you're more available, but because you're finally real. Jung believed that individuation, becoming who you actually are beneath the masks, requires a kind of death, the death of the false self, the version everyone else needed. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will mourn that version of you more than they celebrate the real one, because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. Your boundaries highlight their lack of them. Your peace exposes how much they've been running on empty, trying to please everyone while losing themselves in the process. So they call you distant, changed, not the person they remember. And they're absolutely right. You're not. You're becoming someone better, someone who understands that your energy is not an unlimited resource to be mined by anyone with a need and your phone number. In his journals, Jung wrote about a patient who came to him exhausted, completely depleted. She had spent 40 years being the person everyone could count on. The friend who listened, the daughter who sacrificed, the colleague who stayed late. And one day she woke up and realized she had no idea who she was when no one was asking her for something. Jung asked her a simple question: what would happen if you disappeared for a week? She looked at him like he'd suggested she burn her life down. The world would fall apart, she said. People need me. So he asked her to try it anyway. 1 week of unavailability. No explanations, no apologies. Just absence. When she returned, the world had not fallen apart. It had barely noticed. The people who claimed they needed her had found someone else to need. The emergencies had resolved themselves. And the only person who had truly suffered from her absence was her. Because she had to sit with the terrifying possibility that maybe her worth wasn't tied to her usefulness after all. This is the thing about availability. It becomes an addiction, not for the people receiving it, for the person giving it. Because when you're always available, you never have to face yourself. You never have to ask the harder questions, like, who loves me when I'm not performing? Who stays when I have nothing left to give? The answer is uncomfortable. Most won't. And that's not a reflection of your value. It's a revelation of theirs. They were never connecting with you. They were connecting with what you could do for them, the role you played in keeping their life comfortable. Jung called these transactional relationships, built not on mutual recognition but on mutual utility. You're the therapist friend, the reliable ride, the person who makes everyone else feel better about themselves. And the moment you stop serving that function, the relationship collapses. Because there was nothing underneath it. No foundation, just need dressed up as friendship. But here's where it gets interesting. When you become unavailable, you don't just lose the people who are using you. You also lose the part of yourself that needed to be used. The part that derived worth from being needed. The part that felt safest when disappearing into someone else's crisis. Because if we're honest, and Jung always insisted on honesty, being overly available is often about fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being alone. Fear that if people see the real you, the one who says no and has limits and doesn't always have the right answer, they'll leave. So you stay available. You stay useful. You stay small enough to fit into whatever shape they need. And you call it kindness. You call it love. But Jung would call it something else, a betrayal of the self. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The kind that happens slowly over years, until one day you wake up and realize you've been so busy being what everyone else needed, that you forgot to become yourself. So what happens when you finally stop? When you choose unavailability not as punishment, but as self-preservation. When you let the phone ring, when you say no without guilt. When you protect your energy like the finite resource it actually is, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly respects you more, though some people will, but because you start respecting yourself. You start understanding that your presence is a gift, not an obligation, that your time has value beyond how it serves others, that you are allowed to exist without justifying that existence through constant availability. The people who matter will adjust. They'll learn that you're not always going to drop everything, that you need space to breathe, that you have a life that doesn't revolve around being their emotional support system, and they'll love you more for it, not less, because they'll be loving the real you, not the accommodating version you performed out of fear. The people who don't matter will fade. They'll call you difficult, changed, not like you used to be, and you'll smile because you'll know they're mourning the version of you that was slowly killing the person you're becoming. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, but he also knew that privilege comes with a price, the loss of who you pretended to be, the loss of relationships built on that pretense, the loss of a kind of safety that was never really safe at all. When you stop being available, you don't just change your schedule, you change the entire contract you've had with the world. You stop negotiating your worth based on how much you can give. You stop measuring your value by how little you ask for in return. You stop performing the role everyone else wrote for you. And yes, it's lonely at first. The silence where constant demands used to be. The space where people used to fill every moment. But in that loneliness, something else grows. Clarity, peace, the quiet recognition that you are enough, even when you're not useful to anyone. Jung believed our lives speak to us through patterns. The same relationships, the same exhaustion, the same feeling of being taken for granted. And when that pattern keeps repeating, it's not the world being cruel. It's your soul trying to teach you something you keep refusing to learn. That you don't exist to serve. That your boundaries are not betrayals. That the people who truly love you will not punish you for having limits. And that sometimes the most radical thing you can do is simply not be there. Not out of spite. Not to prove a point. But because you finally understand that your life belongs to you first. And everyone else second. And some people don't get access at all. When you stop being available, everything changes. The world doesn't end. People don't collapse without you. And you discover something Jung knew all along. The person you've been searching for in every relationship, every text message, every desperate attempt to be enough for someone else. That person was always you, waiting patiently for you to finally come home.